I am going to introduce our keynote speaker, Cindy Adams-Dunn. She is the Secretary of the Department of Conservation and Natural Resources. She's been the Secretary for two governors now, Governor Wolf, now Governor Shapiro. The DCNR manages 124 of our state parks. It holds a very dear place in my heart because that was my very first job at our state park, Poe Valley State Park, and I painted all the signs, and it was a wonderful experience. They operate 2.2 million acres of state forest for recreation and conservation. She has helped position Pennsylvania as a leader in land conservation, outdoor recreation, and public land management. Under her direction, DCNR created the Pennsylvania Outdoor Corps to connect youth with outdoor job opportunities. The Secretary also directs efforts to address climate change impacts and advocates for planting forest buffers to improve water quality. With experience in both public and private sectors, she has held leadership roles in environmental advocacy organizations, including the Audubon, Pennsylvania, and the Chesapeake Bay Foundation. I've known the Secretary for almost 25 years now. She is a friend of Pennsylvania, all of us here, especially in Indiana County. And so with that, I give you the floor to Cindy Adams-Dunn, Secretary Dunn.
The opportunity to be here with all the local leaders, all the great things you do. I mean, Commissioner Hess called out a lot of individuals, but I know every one of you is lifting good work in your own realm, and I really appreciate that. And together you make a great community. I could sense enthusiasm in the room, even when I arrived and was just peeking out the windows. Engaged, and I think it's a great opportunity. I heard a lot about a lot of dignitaries here, but I didn't hear much about Commissioner Hess, so I'm going to take an opportunity to mention her. 25 years because when Shireen, I'm sitting when Secretary Dunn, but when she was heading the Legal Women Voters Water Program, I was at the Alliance of Chesapeake Bay, and she would hold forums like this that I would always go to as a young woman to learn from. And so she's been a leader in a statewide effort for a long time. What you may not know, you think of your commissioner, you're a local person, but she's a leader statewide. She was selected by her peers to head the community and the County Commissioners Association of Pennsylvania, CCAP. So I think it's really a special honor when you're selected by your peers to be the president. So don't ever take your commissioner for granted. She's special and quite a leader in her own right. Magnify every call out she did. I do want to thank Representative Jim Struzzi for his service in our mission area. Pennsylvania Park and Forest Foundation is a nonprofit entity that's our partner at DCNR. And Representative Struzzi puts a lot of time and effort into that. So we really, really appreciate his leadership there. So as you may know, as I know you know, recreation is a big deal as part of our economy in Pennsylvania. And I think what we've seen happen, I think people in this room knew that, but not the whole world didn't know that. And during the COVID pandemic, we all kind of mentally saw recreation go from like a nice to have thing off to the side to essential in our lives. And since the COVID pandemic, we've seen a greater understanding and a boost in people's understanding of recreation as a key part of the economy. And it says, like it says here, 17 billion a year to our Commonwealth economy. That's the Bureau of Economic Analysis number. That's actually a conservative number. There are analyses out there that support a higher number if you need the multiplier effect. This is the core number, 164,000 jobs. And these are not jobs that'll be exported to China or something. These are either jobs in Pennsylvania, they'll stay in Pennsylvania. So that's really an important part of it. And we think about it, where are these jobs? I mean, not everyone's guiding fishing or guiding hunting or running a bike shop, but then the coffee shops, ice cream is big. We did analysis that now with the data analysis from your various devices, you can see people camping somewhere, what they're doing. Little campground loop at a local park near me, Gifford Pinchot State Park. generated 150,000 to a little ice cream shop, assuming that each camper was only buying $3.75 of ice cream. But you know, some of a lot more if they had a big family. And that was like, all these campers going for that much ice cream, who knew? There's also the Sheets. Sheets is a local company, but look, if you look at the data and just observationally, the Sheets, the Walmarts, who hasn't like forgotten something on their fishing trip or camping trip and swung into the Walmart and the Target, you name it. And even companies like Hershey Chocolate have built end caps. I mean, you can chocolate bar and creating a whole s'mores end cap. And you may say s'mores is not outdoor recreation, but when are you eating s'mores? It's when you're camping, at the end of a fishing trip or end of a hunting session, you're making s'mores. So this recreation is deeply infused in many, many segments of our economy. And my point today will be to talk about how it's much more than the money, though. It's way more than the economic side, and that's what maybe distinguishes it from some other types of economic development. It's deeper into society, into the fabric of who we are. And the good news in Pennsylvania, we are an outdoor state. We've always been an outdoor state. Angling, fishing, hunting, hiking, paddling. It's in our bones, it's in our being. So we were built well for this, and we're built well in many other ways that I'll talk about. Your area, you're in a special region. You're just kind of in the foothills of the Allegheny Ridges. You've got the Chestnut Ridge, the Laurel Ridge, Allegheny Ridge. The Alleghenies are an important landscape feature in the whole United States, and you're right at the foothills. And you're in a beautiful area with little communities tucked in among great streams like the Blacklick and like the Conemaugh and all these great streams and valleys with little communities tucked in among them. Built well for recreation, tourism, and recreation development. It makes it really special because people relate to place, people relate to the region, and you're positioned very well, and you have a lot of good things that have been built already, and a lot to build from. You're not starting from ground zero, and enhancing your recreation economy, enhancing recreation is a part of your sustainable lifestyle here in this whole region. You have trails. I know the Ghost Town Trail of the Year in 2020.
Yeah.
It goes way back. I mean, talk about decades. It's a lot of time. It takes time. But you had that vision forever. She came to every trails conference I've ever been to back when the Ghost Town was very small and built it, mile by mile, piece by piece. And Tom Cherniski, Shireen Hess's partner from Cambridge County, these county commissions have been really key in garnering statewide support. It helps us at the state level when your elected officials really bring something to focus for you and communicate with you. That really helps us and it really means a lot when multiple counties get together and promote something. So Indiana and Cambria have voted the Ghost Town Trail from the local layer up to the state level and allow us to invest year after year after year in every segment that's built. But even more than just the typical long distance trail idea, what I've seen happen here is that you've connected your various communities to the trail so that people can actually put a basket on the bike and like bike to a business in another community. That's where you really get a lot of interplay. And what's great about trails is, and in parks, people relate to each other in a different way when they're recreating outdoors. It's a very divisive time in society. We all know that. I won't go into why. But when people relate to each other on a trail, they relate as people. If you went past somebody, you're walking and someone's bike broke down, they needed water, you would help them. You're not going to worry about what sign they got in your yard, right? You're going to help. People are people when they're outdoor and recreating in nature. And it has added so much to our quality of life and many other factors. And of course, the area of Pittsburgh is not in Indiana County, but it's in Armstrong. It's a huge trail system being built from Erie down to Pittsburgh, segment by segment by segment. I'll be out in a couple of weeks to the Brady Tunnel. A big obstacle in that project, but the local leaders have pounded their way through that obstacle and worked with state government to get funding to build the Brady Tunnel up. And that'd be one big piece of area to Pittsburgh. The other big piece that we're able to overcome in the past couple of years is at Kiski Junction, where the Conway Kiski comes into the Allegheny. Difficult situation there, but the Rosebud Coal Company sold us the section we needed, and that trail is now continued across the river, and that big gap was done. So keep an eye on Erie to Pittsburgh, because a lot of your local trails will want to connect to something big like that. That's going to be a big draw nationally. Of course, the main line canal greenway. Laura Hawkins, I think, is speaking later. You're speaking later. Pay attention to that. But that's a cross-state trail, Pittsburgh to Harrisburg. That's really following the canal. Some of it's water, some of it's trail. It's important to me. My ancestors were canal boat operators between Johnstown and Pittsburgh. So when I'm in Blairsville or somewhere, I can picture my ancestors leading the mule in the passenger packet canal boat. And the few photos that we have, this is really important to me as a woman. I see my great grandmother leading the mule, and she looked like she could pull the boat. But we have strong women in my family. But anyway, it's kind of cool to me to see that. I guess that's a point to make though, about trails. They're more than just a place to ride a bike. They tell a story. Think about all the features along the ghost town or along the Hootabug. All these historical features, these little communities. And people, last time I was in Vittendale, a woman came up to me and written a book about Vittendale. It brings out pride in place. It brings out stories. And talking to the borough councilman from Blairsville, I'm sorry, I can't quite get her name already, but telling the story of the canal boat history there and the Underground Railroad and how the mainline canal was key in the Underground Railroad. So the trails kind of bring out these stories in place and really connect people in place. So why is that important? Well, seeing the school superintendent here, seeing IUP here, Penn State here, everyone's trying to think about how to keep young people, how to attract young people to place, and having that pride in place, connection to place is one factor that'll help us really attract and keep our young people in Pennsylvania. Looking at the waterways, and my favorite form of transportation is paddling, and we have a lot of water around here. We're pleased and proud that our parks like Yellow Creek State Park provide a lot of water-based activity. Big Lake, Big Park, your Blue Spruce Park here in Indiana County is pretty special. But I get to see a lot of county parks. This one is really a nice county park. It's amazing. Great assets, commitment to recreation that this area has, and it's really special that you make that commitment. Again, just like trails are, parks are a place that unify people. People come together, people build memories that last a lifetime. When you think back over the decades, think about different decades in your life, I bet you some of the things that pop out happened at a park somewhere. The things you forget are the many, many meetings that you attended. The waterways, again, I travel by water. The Conemaugh is an interesting, fun paddle. The Blackfoot, the Stony Creek, the various Allegheny outlet. The various opportunities in this region are phenomenal for paddling and another big asset. Water's going to get bigger and bigger as we go forward. The changing climate, greater heat, greater conditions, people are going to seek water more and more. And so the work you can do, and you have done with DCNR, with the Fish and Boat Commission, with your local elected leaders to enhance your water-based recreation is really going to pay off. And we're really happy to be part of that. But again, training is important. So learning at a lake, and I know a lot of lessons happen at Yellow Creek State Park, and then getting out on the river is really a neat opportunity and adds to the allure of the region. So in the Superior administration, Commissioner Hess mentioned I was the secretary under Governor Wolf. We created 3 new state parks during that period of time. We really advanced outdoor recreation. When Governor Shapiro came in, he set a competitive agenda where he wanted to really build on the work of Governor Wolf and advance where Pennsylvania was economically and for the future. So he's immediately grasped on recreation as one factor in building a good future for Pennsylvania. And so he helped us launch the Office of Outdoor Recreation. Many of you met Nathan Rigner, our Director of Outdoor Recreation. He's got a big beard. The governor launched that at the same time announced 112 million of infrastructure dollars for state parks and forests. And it was done in a bipartisan manner. The legislature, both sides of the aisle, Senator Pittman, Jim Struzzi supported it. Everyone knew we needed more funding for infrastructure, and Governor Shapiro proposed 112 million, and the legislature passed it. And that allowed us, a couple slides ago, I showed Yellow Creek State Park. We had a lot of failing infrastructure there. Some stuff you can see, like the day use, and some stuff you can't see, like water, sewer. And that money has enabled us to do these long-needed improvements to Yellow Creek. I know many times, Katrina Hess has joined me at events at Yellow Creek, promoting the need for money, signaling and celebrating we got the money and they're able to do projects. We also got $5 million for the Pennsylvania Outdoor Corps, and that's a program that is a workforce program that employs youth in gainful employment, either for the summer for the youth program or year round for the adult program, and skill building, soft skills, hard skills, building buildings, bridges, trails, maintenance work, all the kind of trades work that we have in the DCR workforce. We have over 2,000 people in the full season. A lot of them are tradespeople. Some of the youth in the outdoor corps are seeking a professional track. Some of them want to be lawyers. Some of them want to be not DCNR. Some want to be doctors. Some of them want to be equipment operators. Some want to gain important trade skills. So we have the outdoor corps really helping improve our parks and forests for the public, building work skills, and understanding public service, understanding how public lands fit into the matrix of a community and are part of public service and serve the community. So this is a program that invests in the people and not just the places, but it allows us to really double down, improving the places too. We've been able to, again, grow our amenities in the parks and forests because of this workforce. We've been able to grow a pipeline of staff that are coming into our workforce and working at DCNR. And it's also it's allowed us to improve the diversity of our staff makeup in our parks and forests. That's really important to us as well. Now, this is a program that many of you know about and care about. Adrian Smochek is here from our Bureau of Recreation and Conservation back in the corner. She's here with her husband, but she's our Park and Rec advisor for the Bureau of Recreation and Conservation. She's also your avenue for grants for trails and local parks. The community parks of Pennsylvania, of which are about 6,000, are the place where people can go after work to recreate. The playgrounds, the picnic areas. Many of these are very attractive attractions in their own. Some are, big enough to attract tourists, but many of them are serving local community. And our Park and Rec program and our grants program is robust. We'll be announcing soon about $70 million worth of grants in this program for this year. So when I talk to my colleagues in other states, Pennsylvania is unique. We have a good program because of leadership across the Commonwealth has demanded funding for local governments to meet the needs of their communities across Pennsylvania. So that's an important element of our work. That's how a lot of these local rail trails are able to secure funding for their projects. That's how local parks are able to secure funding. So how about outdoor recreation? I mentioned a lot of the elements of the value. We know about the economy, we talked about that. Health and mental health. We know about how the physicians of the Commonwealth are more and more leaning toward recreation as part of the prescription for their patients. They're understanding the need. More and more people understand the need of outdoor recreation for mental health. that understanding really got a boost during the COVID pandemic as people, were crammed into a house, trying to telework, trying to do school from home, crowded into their house. Everyone had to get outside and walk and feel a little less stress. We work with the Department of Drug and Alcohol Program, do recovery hikes. People in alcohol and drug recovery are using outdoor recreation, and nonprofits that work in this space are using it as part of the recovery. One of our goals for DCNR is to really provide access for all. Our mission is based on the Constitution of Pennsylvania. We're one of only a handful of states that has the right to clean air, pure water, and access to the natural environment as part of our Constitution. And the role of a state agency is to provide that for all citizens. We have 13 million citizens in Pennsylvania, and our charge is to provide for all citizens. And so some people have things that hold them back. And this is an experience I've had just last week with Governor Shapiro. A local citizen had gone and tried our color viewfinders that are designed to help someone who's colorblind see color. Well, the color problem is red, green. So in like the fall foliage of Pennsylvania is one of our huge assets here in Penn Woods. But 1 million Pennsylvanians are colorblind and can't tell red and green. So we were surveying those people as well. So these viewfinders that the Pennsylvania Park and Foundation was a party to, the money was collected by the Pennsylvania Wildlife Corporation, but they have these colorblind viewfinders. The governor's colorblind. So when we got a letter from a citizen who was colorblind, he used them and talked about how special it was for the first time in his life to be able to see the red tree against the green tree and to see that phenomenal fall color we have. The letter he sent us got to the governor, and the governor's not colorblind, so I want to see this. So, met with the governor, and it was really, the citizens and the governor spoke so eloquently about what it was like to see that for the first time. But what struck me was when you think about that's a good paradigm for someone who's never seen nature because they didn't have the opportunity. Someone who's never seen that part of the trail because they're in a wheelchair. For someone who's never been able to get there because no one would take them there. So that opening someone's eyes to the opportunity is the opportunity we all have. And sustainability really means everyone wins in some way. Everyone has access. Everyone can thrive. And part of that is providing access to all and give people the chance to experience the magic that people in this room understand and feel, but we're finding it to be a part of our really rewarding work that we do in DCR at the moment. And opening people's eye to nature means getting them out in nature. They can be on a trail, in a park, and some recreational amenity, but that's where they'll see the bald eagle fly over, and that's where they'll see the fish in the stream. That's where that big dragonfly that cuts across the trail catches their eye, and I'll say, what is that? And they'll learn about nature. These very same pathways that are our trails and our river corridors are also wildlife corridors. We're also preserving our biodiversity. We're also blunting the impacts of flooding. Last time I was in Indiana County, I heard a lot about flooding from citizens around here because they had just been flooded. So this all illustrates the power of outdoor recreation as one element of sustainability that can really enhance the rest of sustainability, can really serve all, keep a community healthy, serve many elements of sustainability beyond the economy, beyond the funding. It's got the power of transforming Pennsylvania. If you look at Pennsylvania in a competitive way with other states, we are set up well for outdoor recreation, pulling us forward and into the future. We've got these beautiful mountains like you have here. We've got a lot of rivers, 83,000 miles. We've got a good network of trails. We've got more rail trails, named rail trails than any other state. And we've got 2,200 miles of other trails. So we are set up well for recreation to be a key element of our sustainability. But the value goes far beyond recreation and far beyond the economy. So thank you. And I just look forward to working with everybody on capitalizing on this opportunity. Thank you.
Great timing. And wow, what a great illustration of leadership for all Pennsylvanians and for this award-winning system that we have. I know you all get out there and enjoy our parks, but now you have some background to understand why they're so vital to our communities and for, recreation, for mental health, for all the things that our secretary has mentioned. We do have some time for a few questions, if that's okay with the secretary. So, any questions at all? No. Yeah.
I have a quick question.
Please talk a little loud, because it is a little
Telling me
challenging.
to talk. First time. I know you talked a lot about Conemaugh. We talked earlier about Blairsville being surrounded on three sides by Conemaugh. Recognize it's not economic driver, for recreation. I think one of the problems that we see though is, you talked about flooding, but I think that we also see a lack of water. And my question is, for dry season, what's the first steps to try to get, the powers to be to understand that regulating the river for recreation upstream from, say, Salzburg or the dam, what's the first steps to get people to understand? From my understanding, this has been on the books since 1953.
Yeah, but like regulating the water flow from the core reservoirs above, or yeah.
Yeah, up to Johnstown.
Yeah, so the federal government regulates the flow out of a number of reservoirs across Pennsylvania, and a lot of them in western Pennsylvania. Like we operate the whitewater features at Ohio Power based on the releases from the Occoquan Reservoir, which they are very, the Corps is very helpful and giving us release weekends in the dry season that you're talking about. We interact with the Corps. I can take the suggestion. We meet with them annually, make suggestions. Sometimes they initiate studies. I think so. They're really good for us at Ohio Pub because they know there's a big whitewater feature that's been built. So if they understand that there's a lot of interest in the recreation and people whose livelihoods depend on it, that would be a part of it. But I'd also look at river access maybe a little differently. If you look at how people are using a river access, like a boat ramp or a fish and boat commission access, people are using them like a park. They go there, they sit in their lawn chair, I've seen a lot of dog walking in the creek. I mean, that sounds funny, but people walk their dogs in the creek. They're cooling off. They're hanging out, and cooling off. Everyone loves to be near water. So, that river access point is more than just a place to launch a boat or drop a line. But in terms of water regulation, I would say, reach out to us and we can pass it on to the court. The more they see downstream recreation as a part of what's needed, the more they'll regulate for you. But I don't know the reservoir, Conemaugh Reservoir, I don't know if that's like primarily flood or primarily some other element. They have a system of purpose for each reservoir and a very serious consideration of when to release. It's not a very casual decision. They do modeling, they do everything else. So happy to carry that forward for you, especially armed with knowing how much interest would be farther down. I think the Conemaugh needs to be more popular, I believe. I mean, it's the deepest. So the Ohio Pile, the Occoquan Gorge and the Conemaugh Gorge are the deepest gorges in Pennsylvania. They're amazing. I mean, if you go along 56, you look at the Conemaugh.
Well, there's no water.
And then the mountain is so much higher than below. Yeah. So it's an astounding geologic feature.
Thank you. We want to, I can't wait some more.
My ghost town trail. The goddess of the ghost town trail.
But listening to David, I was thinking about an opportunity, and then you talked about the grant opportunities coming up with DCNR. And recently, we just finalized getting the bike pedestrian bridge over Route 22. So this is going to provide a door opening to even a more regional network of trails. And is there a grant opportunity within DCNR to look at opening this door to connect with Blairsville? Because Blairsville also has the water opportunity, and we've seen that where there are trails with water opportunities, it really takes off.
It does, yeah.
So is there a DCNR grant
Right.
for developing something like that?
Yeah, Adrian would be the one to talk to, and sometimes if it's not in our wheelhouse, we also advocate with PennDOT and DCED too, if it's more in their wheelhouse, but, we're often the synergist for these trail grants, and it was just really delightful to see the bridge over past year you're talking about. Thanks to all of you that have really helped make that happen. Our grant applications open up, January 11th, something like that, in mid-January, our grant applications open up, and I think they close in like April, something like that. Yeah.
There's an opportunity.
Thank you.
There's an opportunity.
Yeah,
Okay, one more, Zach.
Yes, mine's more of a thanks than a question. For a couple of centuries now, people have recognized that parks are central to quality of life in urban areas. And so our thanks is to DCNR for administering funds, including those funds from the federal and water conservation fund that funded Project 70 and a number of parks in this area, including White's Woods, to protect valuable green space near urban areas, particularly in poor counties. And so we thank you, and I'm friends of White's Woods. So
thank you for saying that. That's more and more of a, part of our strategy. We've hired a grant equity specialist to really help us work in the urban areas where maybe they don't have the match that's required by law by some of these grant programs. And we're recognizing green spaces in urban areas, whether it's community trees or a green park, it's critical to cooling down the temperature and really adding to the livability and quality of life in the urban areas. The Land and Water Conservation Fund, that's another success story. We were able to lobby Congress for full funding and permanent funding for LWCF. So now we get about 13 million a year into the Commonwealth from LWCF. So more and more communities that we serve, which is good because things have gotten more and more expensive.
So, yeah, thank you for your attention.